Throughout the ages, humanity has pondered the struggle between light and darkness, good and evil. I am here to mediate their conversation, to seek the wisdom hidden in their contrasts. Let us listen to a debate as old as creation itself. God, why do you let bad things happen to good people? Why do you allow it if you are all good, all loving, and all powerful?
Before I can answer that question, you must first understand my true nature. You speak to me as if I am separate from you. Nothing can be separate from me. I am the infinite, eternal essence from which all things arise. I am not a being apart from creation, but the very essence of existence itself. In my highest reality, I am formless and infinite, beyond all attributes. Yet for those who seek me, I also take forms they can understand, so they may glimpse the truth behind the illusion. There is nothing outside of me, for I am in everything. From the smallest atom to the vast expanse of the universe, I am both the seen and the unseen.
But God, many look up to the sky, searching for you in the heavens, believing you exist somewhere beyond this world. Doesn't this make you a separate being?
The greatest misunderstanding is believing I am out there. By doing so, they place me inside a construct, as if I were just another object in space. But if I am all, how could I exist in one place and not another? I do not reside in the universe. The universe resides in me. To say God is in the heavens is to forget that I am beyond all space. If I were confined to a location, something would have to contain me. And if something contained me, I would not be infinite. But I am not within space. Space is within me. Time, form, and even the mind that tries to grasp me, none are apart from me. To seek me as something separate is like chasing the horizon, always distant, yet never apart from the very ground beneath your feet.
I never thought of it that way. If you were out there, then you wouldn't be all. You would just be another thing within existence, not existence itself. But what about the shadow? The one we call the devil? If nothing is separate from you, then how does the shadow exist?
The shadow you perceive as separate from me is not apart from my light. It exists because of my light. Duality is a necessary illusion, created so that the infinite can experience itself in finite forms. Light and shadow, good and bad. These are not opposites but degrees of the same essence. Without the contrast of darkness, light could not be understood. Without challenge, growth would be impossible. When bad things happen, it is not because I have turned away, but because the world operates within this divine interplay, where every experience, joy or sorrow, serves as a step toward awakening to the oneness that is me.
So, you are saying that everything, even the shadow itself, which would be what we call the devil, serves your purpose, that there is nothing outside of you.
Exactly. The shadow, as you call it, exists within my infinite being. It plays its role, revealing the boundaries of the light, but it is not apart from me. Nothing is. The devil is not a rival, but an instrument, a reflection of the contrast necessary for understanding. The human mind, veiled by ignorance, sees separation where there is none. But in truth, all that exists is my essence, expressing itself in myriad forms.
An instrument, a reflection. Ha! You may claim I am part of your grand design, but it is I who gives life its meaning. Without me, your creation would be stagnant, lifeless. Humanity needs my shadow to understand your light. They do not seek you in their triumphs. They cry out to you only in their despair. And why do they despair? Because of me. I give them something to fear, something to strive against. You call this interplay divine. But without my chaos, your order would be meaningless.
If duality is an illusion, as you say, God, then why does humanity experience such profound suffering and struggle? How can they see beyond the shadow to the oneness you describe?
Suffering and struggle are the tools through which ignorance is dissolved. The human experience, bound by the veil of duality, is like a traveler lost in the night. But the night is not endless. it exists only to reveal the dawn. Each hardship, each sorrow, is a step toward shedding the illusion of separateness and awakening to the truth of oneness. When humanity begins to see that even their suffering serves a higher purpose, they will understand that they were never apart from me. The shadow may seem overwhelming, but it exists only to guide them back to the light of their true nature.
And you, devil, what do you say to that? Is your role simply to guide humanity back to the light, or do you see your purpose differently?
Guide them back. No, I exist to challenge, to tempt, to reveal the cracks in their convictions. I am not here to guide them to you. I am here to show them their limits, their weaknesses, their flaws. And yet, in their struggle against me, they find strength they never knew they had. They grow because of me, not in spite of me. Without me, they would have no reason to rise above. They need my chaos, my darkness, to feel the warmth of your so-called light. You call me an illusion, but tell me this, if I am an illusion, why do they fear me more than they love you?
Yes, some fear you. Their fear is born of ignorance, the same ignorance that makes your shadow seem separate from my light. But there are also those who know me and see through your illusions. They know that I am within them, the essence within the vessel of the body. They understand that you are merely the negative aspect of me, manifested only on the physical planes of existence, in the illusion of duality, and your power cannot touch those who have awakened to this truth.
They know us very well indeed, but the world sees them as laughingstocks. They killed your son over knowing this, and if they could get away with it, they would do it again. Their hearts are filled with hypocrisy. They sing your praises on their lips, but their actions betray them. They revere me in secret, for it is my chaos that fuels their desires, even when they claim to worship you.
You weave your deceptions so well, Shadow, that even you have come to believe them, but you cannot deceive me. I reside in all that is, in every man, in every creature, even in the smallest germ. I am the stars that light the heavens, the air that gives breath, the universe itself. I am the grand design of all that was, is, and ever will be. All they need to do is seek, and they will find me. And when they do, your voice will fade into nothing but a distant whisper, lost in the vastness of my light.
God, what about death? Humanity fears it deeply, seeing it as the ultimate separation. Is it an end, or is it just another illusion?
Death is not an end, but a transition, a moment where the veil of the physical plane is lifted. What they call death is merely the shedding of a temporary form, like a river merging back into the ocean. Their fear arises from ignorance, from the illusion that they are separate from me. But I am the source of all life, and in death, they do not leave me. They return to the truth of oneness. The soul is eternal, untouched by the body's decay. Death is not to be feared. It is a moment of awakening to what has always been.
And yet, their fear of death serves me well. It is I who whisper in their ears, cling to your life, for there is nothing after. Their dread drives them to crave the fleeting pleasures of this world, to cling to the very shadows I provide. It is I who whisper in their ears, you are not worthy. You are going to burn in hell for eternity. That fear I cast upon them has them running to the churches only out of fear, not for your love. This, in turn, creates my hypocrites, those who preach piety but live in shadow. If death is merely a transition, then why do your creatures resist it with every ounce of their being?
They resist because they have forgotten their divine nature. You feed their illusions, making them believe that what they see and touch is all that exists. But even in their fear, they are moving toward me, for death is the ultimate teacher, showing them that nothing truly ends. When they step beyond the illusion of time and space, they will see that life and death are but two sides of the same eternal truth.
Devil. Many believe in a place of eternal torment called hell, a fiery realm where souls burn and suffer forever. What is your role in this? Is this torment truly your creation?
The concept of hell. It is my masterpiece, whispered into the ears of men to sow fear, guilt, and control. But let's be clear, I didn't create hell. It was they who imagined it, inspired by their egos and their need for punishment. They see flames, gnashing teeth, and endless suffering, because that is what their minds conjure in their ignorance. They hide their shameful desires behind closed doors, embarrassed in front of other humans. Yet, they claim you are always watching and still show you their wickedness without care, all while pretending to be righteous. They fear eternal punishment for their actions, yet they don't realize the truth. The only hell is the one they create for themselves, through their hatred, greed, and blindness to the light.
God, if you are all-loving, how can this idea of eternal torment be reconciled with your nature? Does such a place even exist?
Hell, as they describe it, a place of fire and endless torment, is not my creation. It is the creation of fearful minds, manipulated by the shadow to control others through guilt and dread. I am love, eternal and boundless. There is no place in my essence for eternal punishment, for nothing is separate from me. The torment they imagine is not physical, for the body rests in the grave. It is the torment of the ego, clinging to its illusions and fearing dissolution. When they speak of gnashing teeth and unquenchable fire, they describe the agony of ignorance, the pain of resisting the truth of oneness. Even the shadow, as cunning as it may be, cannot escape the truth. Hell is not a punishment from me, but a state of mind created by those who do not yet see the light. It is not eternal, for all must return to me. There is no soul beyond redemption, no being that my love cannot reach.
And yet, look at how well it works. They believe in this hell so fervently that they willingly trade their freedom for chains, controlled by the very fear I planted. They imagine a hell worse than any punishment I could create. How ironic that they fear you more than they fear me.
That fear is born of ignorance within the shadow. You deceive them into believing that I would punish eternally, but they will awaken. They will see that my nature is not vengeance but love. Those who teach of an eternal hell have misconstrued the truth, turning me into a figure of wrath rather than the essence of compassion. They have projected their own fears and egos onto me, creating a false image of God. Hell, as they describe it, is unjust, for it assumes my love has limits. But my love is infinite, beyond their comprehension. It is the very substance of existence, and when they awaken to this, even the fear of hell will dissolve like a shadow in the rising sun.
So hell is not a place but a state of ignorance, a separation from the truth of oneness.
Precisely. Hell exists only as long as they believe themselves separate from me. It is a product of the illusion of duality, created to teach them the value of light through contrast. Once they see the truth, that there is no separation, no shadow apart from my light, they will know that they were never in hell to begin with. They were always in me, and I was always in them.
And yet, my fear is so deeply ingrained in them that even those hearing this will dismiss it as deception, just as they dismiss the truth spoken by your Son. They will call this blasphemy, clinging to the very lies I've whispered into their hearts. Their blindness is my greatest triumph.
God, if you are all, then is there truly free will? Or is what humanity perceives as free will simply another expression of your will?
Free will and my will are not separate. What humanity calls free will is the experience of choice within the play of Maya. In truth, all actions, thoughts, and desires arise from me, for there is nothing else. The wave believes it moves by its own power, yet it is always the ocean beneath that carries it. When ignorance dissolves, humanity will see that their choices, their struggles, and even their triumphs were always a part of the divine dance. Free will is the illusion of separation. My will is the reality of oneness.
Then let me ask you this, God. If their free will is your will, why do they stumble? Why do they fall into my traps? Why do they fear me if every step they take is yours? Do you allow me to exist simply to test them? Or are their failures part of your plan?
Your traps, as you call them, are the contrast that sharpens their awareness. Their stumbles are not failures but lessons. They fear you only because they do not yet see that even your shadow serves my purpose. You are the challenge that awakens their strength, the darkness that reveals the light within. Their free will is the process of realizing that what they believed to be separate was always me.
God, how can humanity rise above the shadow when the allure of the physical world seems so overwhelming? What guidance can you give to those who seek the light?
The path is simple yet profound. Turn inward. The light they seek is not outside but within. When they quiet their minds and listen, they will find me in the stillness. The shadow's grip only holds when they look outward, chasing the fleeting. But when they look within, they will discover the eternal. Every soul carries a spark of my essence. To find me, they must first realize that they were never apart from me.
But they are not so eager to look inward, are they? The world I offer is loud, tempting, and immediate. Why would they seek your stillness when I give them endless distractions? Their hearts may long for you, but their hands reach for me. And let's not forget their self-righteousness. They cloak themselves in virtue, convinced of their own goodness, but it is their egos they serve, not you. They preach your name while looking down on others, feeding on the very pride I sow within them. They call themselves holy, but their actions betray them. My greatest work is not in their sins, but in their belief that they are above sin. In their self-righteousness, they are further from you than they realize, yet closer to me than they would ever admit.
You pride yourself, Shadow, on their distractions and self-righteousness. But even your strongest weapons crumble before the truth. You see their flaws and call them your victories, yet you fail to understand the depth of my design. Their pride, their sins, their failures, these are not barriers to me. They are stepping stones. You think their self-righteousness keeps them in your grasp, but it is in their brokenness that they find me. When they are lost, I am the whisper that calls them home. When they stumble, I am the ground beneath their feet, steadying them. Even in their darkest moments, Shadow, I am there, waiting. You call their hearts yours, but I am their very heartbeat. Their hands may reach for you, but their souls belong to me. For every soul carries my essence, a light you cannot extinguish, no matter how loud your chaos becomes. And here is the truth that should make even you tremble. There is nothing they can do, no mistake they can make, that will separate them from me. Their self-righteousness, their sins, their distractions, none of it is greater than my love. They are not mine because they are perfect. They are mine because I am. So boast all you like, Shadow, but know this: when they fall to their knees, broken by the weight of this world, they will rise again, not by their strength, but by mine. And in that moment, you will be nothing more than a passing shadow, fading into the eternal light of my truth.
God, humanity has always pondered the idea of heaven. What is heaven truly? Is it a place of eternal joy, as many imagine? Or does it hold a deeper meaning?
Heaven is not a destination, nor a place confined to the afterlife. It is a state of being, a realization of the oneness that pervades all existence. In the truest sense, Heaven is the dissolution of separation, the merging of the individual self with the infinite self. When the ego dissolves and the truth of unity is realized, that is heaven. It is not confined to a realm beyond life. It can be experienced here and now. Many envision heaven as a reward, a sanctuary where pain and suffering are absent. But this is the mind's projection, clinging to duality. Heaven is not an escape from suffering, but the transcendence of it. It is the eternal presence, the knowing that you are never apart from me. To see heaven as a distant paradise is to misunderstand its nature. Heaven is not attained through worship, but through understanding, through the awakening to the divine essence that is already within.
And yet, God, their heaven is a contradiction, isn't it? They imagine a paradise of endless joy and bliss, yet they don't realize that without the bad, the good would lose its meaning. Their dualistic minds cling to opposites, yet they dream of a heaven devoid of contrast. Tell me, how can they understand joy without sorrow? How can they know peace if they've never tasted struggle? The heaven they long for, a world of eternal bliss, would be lifeless, stagnant. You created duality, did you not? Light and shadow, joy and sorrow, love and hate. This is your so-called grand design. And yet, they fantasize about escaping it entirely. What they fail to see is that the heaven they imagine is just another illusion born of their fear of suffering, their fear of ceasing to exist. They pedestalize Jesus, worshiping his form while ignoring his teachings, clinging to the physical instead of awakening to the spiritual. Some even believe in a heaven where you are worshipped endlessly, yet they couldn't take the time to worship you while they lived. Their actions betray their words. They want eternal reward without effort, a heaven without awakening. But tell me, God, without the contrast I provide, how would they even know they had reached heaven at all?
Devil, you speak of duality as though it is essential for understanding. But is that not part of the illusion itself? God, is heaven beyond duality?
Indeed it is. The polarity of good and bad exists only in the realm of Maya, the illusion of separation. In truth, there is no division, no opposites. Heaven is not defined by the absence of suffering, but by the realization that suffering was never separate from joy. They are two sides of the same essence, each serving its purpose within the illusion. The heaven humanity imagines, born of their dualistic thinking, is incomplete. True heaven transcends the need for polarity, for it is the end of all opposites. It is the dissolution of fear and longing, the moment when they see that joy was never apart from sorrow, and light was never apart from shadow. In realizing this, they awaken to the oneness that is me.
Then perhaps their imagined heaven is not an end, but a step, a reflection of their yearning to transcend duality and return to the truth of oneness.
Precisely. Even their illusions serve a purpose, for they reflect their deeper yearning to reunite with the eternal. When they awaken, they will not find heaven as a distant place, but as the realization that they were never apart from it, for the divine essence they seek has always been within them.
So in the end, the debate is not between two forces, but within ourselves. It becomes clear that light and shadow, good and evil, are but reflections of the one. God is the only substance that can truly be, for God is all. There is no separation, no division, only the illusion of it. The shadow exists only because of the light, and when we look beyond the veil of duality, we see that everything is God. To know this is to know peace. To live this is to know truth. What do you believe? Are light and shadow separate, or are they one?